Good evening. This is the Rutland Town Planning Commission. It's January 29 of 2026. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda. We do need, David Grayck cannot make it this evening. We do need to take that off the agenda. Is
Move to approve the agenda?
there a second?
Question.
Okay. And is there an amendment?
Is there anything else? Any other discussion?
No, just if you would officially take David Grayck.
Actually, didn't you postpone that, or is that's been postponed until April 12th, right? Or
Yes, but just officially for the agenda,
for
this agenda.
tonight's meeting, we would like to remove it from the agenda. Okay.
Okay, and is this person who seconded okay with that? All right, any discussion? All those in favor of the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, no public joining us. We do have, Demetrio and Norm on Zoom joining us. So Norm, you can vote. And Demetrio, you're still an alternate this evening. New business. So we've got, the annual election of planning commission officers. That's the one remaining item there. I think we told ourselves we'd do this at the first meeting of each new year. We missed that one, but here we are in the second one. So does anyone want to make a nomination for, let's start with the chair.
So I'll nominate you for the chair.
You will?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we've got the chair. And then I think the vice chair / secretary is next. Any nominations?
Nominate Dana if you into it.
You're welcome. I'll second that.
Second that, okay, Sherman. Is there any others that we have to put on the slate, Bill?
Nope. The up this year is Sherman, Howard, Andy, and Jerry. Up in 2026.
Okay, and that's a select board matter.
Yes, they would reappoint those. Yes.
Yeah.
If they're so interested.
Sherman, Howard, Andy, and who else?
Me.
Jerry. Oh, Jerry.
Jerry.
Okay, so we have two nominations. Anything else from the floor? Any discussion? Okay, call the question. Let's vote on them as a slate. So we have both the chair and the vice chair. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, re-elected. Thank you so much. Always, the longer I do this, the more I like realize that no one else wants to do this. Okay, the Pocket Park update. So some things are going on. GMP had a meeting with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, which does its hydropower licensing. And even though the relicensing went through, they're still keeping a close eye on what GMP promised to do. And FERC is very interested in the parcel at Center Rutland Falls being used as a park. They, they have, they have a long-term memory, a pretty good long-term memory. When they go back to, they can remember when the town of Rutland said it would, yeah, we'll do a park in there, and then we never did it. And this was like a couple decades ago, I think. So that's one issue with them. They're a little bit skeptical there. They,
What are they skeptical about particularly?
whether we're going to carry through this time. So there's an upcoming meeting with GMP, FERC, and Mary Ashcroft and myself, just to go over that. They were also confused that, even though they have a really good long-term memory, they're confused that Rutland City is not Rutland Town. It's like, don't you have all these resources, and can't you just make this happen? So that's another one. And they're not convinced GMP is working well with the town, which is totally untrue.
Who's FERC?
It's a federal agency that
What's
the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
Okay.
So anyway, so we're gonna have a meeting. It's like, yeah, we're fine. We're fine. And let's see, and the select board is, in case we don't get the T-Mobile grant, which we should know about by the end of February. And if we get it, the money's going to be available almost immediately. But if we don't get it, the select board is looking into taking some money out of the capital construction fund. And maybe quite a bit of money, maybe almost enough money to cover almost everything we want. We said we're going to do in the T-Mobile grant, phase 1. So that's, they started that discussion the other night. They'll take it up again in their next meeting, which was 2 weeks from last Tuesday. And I think probably come up with a figure of what we, and some of the things that they're thinking about is hiring Robert Clark from Otter Creek Engineering to oversee.
He's on board.
He's on board.
Yep.
Great. To oversee the identification of what should be removed out of there, and to oversee the actual removal and work on the overlook and the trail to the overlook, give some ideas on that. So just kind of be the designer, the engineer for the project.
And how is that expected to work? Will he communicate with us or with the select board in terms
He
of
will-
his primaries?
He will be working for the select board, but I don't think there'll be any issue with us communicating as much as we need with him. Or going out on site with, that might be a possibility.
Whom he would essentially report to has not been discussed. So
So you think there it could be reporting to us?
is it possible? It's possible. Is it likely? Probably not. But I think purely because of timing. I mean, there needs to be, with progress being made, I think everybody's gonna get input. But I imagine we, the board, and probably Dave and Mike, who are gonna be more the day-to-day contact for anything, so.
Yeah. So the opening date is gonna slide. It's not gonna be Memorial Day. It's probably surprise.
Could be 27.
There's some things in the indigenous histories, like don't do any work in the spring. There's a bat permitting issue that might come into play. We might want to just avoid 2 months, the reproduction stage there. But other than that, I mean, I think Mary Ashraf's going to present to the board, most of the work, and including the picnic tables, the fencing, even potentially some fencing. We talked about briefly, uh, at the railroad right away, so people don't try to get up on the trestle. The Amtrak train trestle. And let's see, a lot of in-kind town equipment, town time, some extra signage. Hopefully, I think I mentioned to you that GMP is going to be doing a kiosk for us. Probably something along the lines of a 4x6 dimension. But we're hoping to get maybe some extra signage because there's gonna be so much to put on the signs. As you can see on this thing, we're just looking at the history of the area, just encapsulating all of that. But this is what the Capital Construction Fund has been used for in the past.
Used for a variety of things.
And there seems to be some money in there between now and July 1st.
Yep.
It can be spent. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's, and then February 19th, we have a meeting with the tribes. Don Stevens is the only one that's responded so far he's one of the Abenaki bands. The tribe that's most interested is the Stockbridge Munsee. And they have to travel, they're on the road for some reason. So I might have to meet with them ahead of time. They're the most interested because I think they actually spent more time in this area than most of the other tribes. The Mohawks came in from New York to do their raiding stuff. And the Abenaki, there's the Elnu that's in southeast Vermont. Most of the Abenaki Vermont are like above Addison County and in the northeast. But Don Stevens is an Abenaki, and he'd like to have some say. So I guess that leads us to,
I have a question.
yeah,
So the purpose of our meeting is to, my assumption is to explain what we want to do and see and answer any questions they have.
yeah.
Is it more than that?
It's really just really start nailing down what they want for content on those signs. And then the Stockbridge Munsee, as you can see in this, they have some other concerns too that we'll bring up. So even though everything's been delayed, once things start moving, they will keep moving. And GMP's is going to have to come up with a schedule when the kiosk is going to be there, whether everything's on it or not, but it'll be there and people will start reading it, they'll come by. So once we get the T-Mobile money, or once we get this Capital Construction Fund money, things will start moving. Schedule will be made. And it'll align probably pretty well with what was in the T-Mobile grant. Some minor changes. So as I mentioned, also keep in mind is all of this. Yeah, Dimitris, thank you.
All right, I was just gonna ask, is the engineer, are they gonna bill out of the construction fund, or, I mean, are their hours gonna be billable, and like, what's the cost, I guess, for that?
Yeah, that meeting hasn't happened. Bill indicated that he had reached out to the person and the company we normally use for these sorts of things, and they're on board, but none of the details have been worked out yet. That company will be paid, or that individual will be paid like all this other stuff, like the picnic tables, it'll come out of the same fund. Yeah.
I was saying I could volunteer to oversee the work and save some money if that helps, but just trying to
Well,
help and cut costs where possible, so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll mention that to Mary Ashcroft, the select
Okay.
board chair. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, to squeeze on all of these signs, we not only have the Native American Indigenous history, we've got military history, pre-Revolutionary War and during the Revolutionary War. We've got the early settlement, um, and it actually was the original Rutland. So that's kind of interesting. But that was mostly agriculture and commerce. Then the early water mills, water powered mills, mid 19th century. Then the marble industry came in, I think, the 20th century. Got the railroads. We also have, there's a very serious historical group, the Crown Point Road Association, back up in the military category during the Revolutionary War. Then we have a period of hydroelectric power, which we're still in. We may want to say something about the floods of 27 and 47. And we may want to say some stuff about some of the landscape artists, famous landscape artists that have painted it. There's a beautiful painting in the Rutland Free Library walls by I think that by Frederick Rutland Church. So flipping over to the Indigenous history in our meeting on February 19th. So they had camps, gardens, and fishing there. Not right up to the river because it flooded then too. It's probably not a sacred zone unless the river channel has changed, and I don't think it has. And it was a good place for fishing and a good portaging place and stopping off place. This information is from an archaeological study done for GMP for their relicensing. Underneath that is the Stockbridge Munsee tribe, and a couple grants ago, I had discussions with that tribe, and that's when I realized they're really interested in this area. Their area is mostly Massachusetts and Connecticut and a little bit of New York, and into the southwestern part of Vermont. They were kicked out of Massachusetts as a tribe, that their office is back there, but the tribe had to go to Ohio, and I think that's where the Munsee came from. And they were Stockbridge, like Massachusetts, before, if I remember correctly.
So what's their connection to this area?
They probably of all of the tribal groups and bands, they had more people here, in and out, things like that. And in my discussions with that tribe a couple grants ago, it was a Zoom call, and he showed me a spear point that they had found in the Otter Creek, which, as you can see here, could have been 6,000 years BC. And it was it was a healthy looking spear point. It was about like this size. And he said it was likely used in the first anadromous fish runs in the spring, with shad, alewives, and Atlantic salmon coming up there. So they would like to help us compile the history, okay? And any educational components, not quite sure if we're when we'll be doing that stuff. Then they have a list of requests here. They want to make the Pocket Park accessible to visiting delegations of their officials and elders, which is no problem. They want to be kept abreast of assessment methodology and reporting. I don't think, unless the state of Vermont requires us to, that we'll be doing any more archaeological assessment. But also invited to the meeting on the 19th is the Vermont Division of Historic Preservation. Because when GMP just did their relicensing, they consulted them and they said, please keep consulting us. And we may have some concerns about the Pocket Park, some request as well.
Is that the Vermont Division of Historic Preservation?
VDHP, yeah. And Stockbridge Muncie is also asking that we're mindful of clearing work. It can be, clearing can be good. I mean, we want to get out the dead wood and all that kind of stuff, but it could also expose resources and it could be destructive of those resources. Don't do that kind of work in the spring. The earth is too soft. And be careful if stumping is done, and I'm not sure we're doing any stumping, but Robert Clark might have different suggestions. And that's problematic because of the tree roots, archaeologically speaking. So, not to divulge too much in what's confidential information in the archaeological surveys. This area doesn't seem like it has much. There are other areas around there that have a whole lot more. But they used steps or tiers on the banks for camping. And Stockbridge Muncie says, well, that could mean even more artifacts. So, but GMP just went through a full assessment and there wasn't anything visible at that time. What might get unearthed, we're not sure. So just keep everybody in the loop. So it'd be good to get some questions together before next time. So we won't go through all of this history again. One of the questions I put down here was James Mead, who the falls are named for. He was the first white guy to discover the falls, but he also needed help surviving whatever season he was in, late fall or early winter, and the tribes helped him. So I'd like to ask, if they have any records or anything about that, or about early relations with the first people trying to encroach upon Native American.
Someone.
You're still talking
Barbara?
about,
Barbara?
Just a minute, Norm.
you're still talking about moving the fountain, the watering
Trough.
Yeah, the watering trough. Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna get moved someplace onto the park
Yeah, probably somewhere
near the road.
on that trail to the overlook and the picnic area. Yep. Yeah, that's something town crews can do. Yeah. Norm, sorry.
As I listen to this, I get more and more fascinated and interested in it. And the question comes to mind is, one is, how are we going to get all of this information onto a kiosk, which has, I don't know how many sides it has to it that we can mount things on, how many areas. I've seen them in various different configurations. So we might and it sounds like there are a lot of groups that deserve mention. So somehow we have to decide, I think fairly early on, how we're going to do this and who we're going to limit, and then who's going to write it.
Yeah, us with these various groups help.
Or could we ask them to give us a draft of what they would like, and then we'll have something to work from.
Right. Right.
And,
Yeah.
you know, and outline, you know, maybe no more than 500 words. I don't know. I mean, because if we don't, we need to know the size of the kiosk to know how much we can put on it.
Right.
And then
Right.
some kind of layout for the kiosk in terms of the mountings we're going to put on there with the information.
Right. So that's why we keep saying, how about a couple more signs? Like, you know, maybe one or two at the overlook. That could include some of this history, like the industrial history, the marble history, the water mills.
Well,
So
to
yes.
me, and maybe I'm overstating it, but it sounds like we need 2 kiosks.
I don't think there's any logistical way to fit all this information in its entirety on any amount of signs. There's gonna need to be a fair amount of, here's a topic, and here's like, whether it's a website link or a QR code, something, there's gonna have to be links to resources where this information can be added to as we go along also. But I think to try and fit all of this on any amount of signs is going to do disservice to and there's going to be more signs than anything.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Demetrio
And-
had a,
And yep, I see him. And we committed to, in the T-Mobile grant application, to doing some digital type
Yes.
offerings on some of these signs. Or it'd be like a QR code, you
Yep.
can go to some other site with more information.
There's a trail across the Hudson in the Poughkeepsie area where there are stations, and each station, there's a QR code that you can interrogate and get information in short 3 to 5 minute slots.
Hmm.
Yeah, so something like that would
Yeah,
You
work
get a
here.
lot more resources.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's
yeah. So we'll be leading people to where the resources really are.
And the kiosk that Green Mountain Power is talking about is it like a 2-sided
Yes.
4x6
Yeah, it'll just be the regular 2 sides, front
Yeah.
and back. Yeah.
for now? That's what they're.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
unless we
right.
ask them for something else. I mean, we could
so it's
ask.
not a kiosk, it's a sign. And a kiosk, in my imagination, is like a 6-foot length by 4-foot length outpost or something where you can post things inside, but that we're
Yes,
talking about a sign.
Yes, they want, it'll be that. They want it weatherproof.
Okay.
But there'll be a little roof on it. You know, so that keeps some of the elements out, but not all of them. Demetrio?
I was just gonna highlight what Bill was saying about utilizing the QR codes. And I mean, we could even tie it back into our Rutland page. So I mean, if we're able to put this on the Rutland website and have the QR codes linked to that, and that way it gets users that are going there kind of already to our webpage to then kind of explore other options in the city or within Rutland town. So, but I think the QR codes, like Bill had said, I think we included that in the Pocket Park application. That was one of the things I wanted to see technology being utilized.
Right,
So-
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there's tons of room on the website, right?
lots of, we're not running around a room anytime soon on the website, you know.
Okay, good.
I mean, what could happen is you take the information that people want to offer, and then you cull that into what you think people need to know as pertinent information on the kiosk, and then for more information, direct them to an online resource. And I mean, as an educational tool, so you don't have to put everything on the.
And there
On
could
the
be
kiosk.
images,
Yep.
even on the kiosk.
Yep. on the website. You could add,
To
you
take
could
up
add,
even more room.
you could add narrative that, as digital, audio files on the website as well. Access. Thanks. If you want to have people speaking, Abenaki as
Yeah.
an artifact.
Yeah. Yeah, keep in mind that all of this work, this content, what goes on the signs and all that is gonna fall to us.
Yeah.
And probably even the maintenance of it will fall to us, so like updating it or.
Well, the good thing with the historical information is that generally, if it's been there for hundreds of years and you're capturing it, the amount of updating would be minimal.
You would hope, yeah.
There are always typos.
Yes, sure. But that's correcting a typo is a little different than changing a narrative. Just saying.
So Mary Ashcroft was wondering if we would ask the tribes, is there any date or time period in this coming fall that is important to them that we can use as the grand opening?
Barbara, I
This is not
didn't hear
gonna be
that. You,
Memorial Day. It's not gonna be 4th of July. There's too much going on with it.
Indigenous Peoples Day. Why not?
That's Columbus.
It is October.
Well,
We were singing in October.
yeah. But what's unsaid there is that then we're sliding all of this other history. You know,
Doing
the
what?
local, the Vermont Marble Company and GMP and so. But maybe, it's how you look at it, how you frame it. Norm, do you
no,
have something?
no.
Okay.
I have a dumb question. I just came across this the other day, but does the name Robert McNamara as a builder mean anything?
Local?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was watching a video and they were showing like in 1940 or 1957, he built a house that had a raised foundation. He left the dirt on the ground. He was starting to use geothermal energy and he was able to utilize a lot less heat. So I just thought that was like, it's like, oh, Rutland, Vermont, like, holy cow. I was like, that was something that threw me back. And I was like, that would be worth, if we're also getting a historical eye, that may be something that's a little bit newer that may be worth trying to include.
Where was the house? You know?
I could look it up. I mean, it was in the video. They said where the house was.
Is it near?
Was it in Brandon? Or near
No, they said it was
Brandon?
they said it was in Rutland.
Okay.
Huh. Yeah, that'd be good to know. I mean, yes, there was a settlement. But what'd you say, 1957? Probably not. I don't know where that is, Marlon.
Out close to the area of the pocket park did he build?
We're trying to figure that out, Norm.
Oh,
So, did we miss, on the front page, did we miss any history? Do we have enough like for natural resources there between hydropower and the flooding? That's another aspect of signs, what we're going to do about high water events, stuff like that. Just how digital, electronic, or whatever those signs are going to be. Or if it's just going to be like you're on your own, we relinquish all liability here. So any other topics you think we should ask the tribes? We may not have a good showing, but if Chief Stevens comes, he'll talk. He'll tell us what he thinks, and I think he can speak for all of the Abenaki, or can get back to us in certain things. Okay. Right, so if you have any ideas, just jot them down and bring them to the next meeting. And any other questions about that? Okay, yeah.
Like at the meeting, is it just the indigenous people or okay, so
Yeah.
it's not the whole historical.
Right. That
Oh,
could get too crazy. I don't know how I'm gonna divvy up the other groups.
Hmm.
They may not be best to put them all together either in those subsequent meetings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Revolutionary Era people might be one group. And then the industrial, maybe we can put all the industrial groups together.
You have a list of the time periods that each tribe represents.
Time periods of each
Well,
tribe.
you're just talking about industrial versus revolutionary.
They overlap.
Yeah, they did over, I mean, I'm sure there were some here earlier than others, but mostly they overlapped, at least the tribes.
I
Yeah,
thought you were saying about treating them in groups based on their the time period which they focus.
no, not so much the time period, but trying to organize the groups so that the tribes will be somewhat sensitive, right? So we want to isolate them. And then I think we can put the other industrial groups together, although we may want to,
Marble, things like that. Not,
Uh,
marble train mills, that group, kind of.
Okay.
I think you're going somewhere else.
Yeah, I was going historically. Yeah, that's what I thought she was talking about. So,
And then the Revolutionary War group of people is a different group.
right. Right. The Crown Point Road came right by there, and that linked supplies to the east to the forts, in Lake Champlain.
Isn't that when that trough was used? Wasn't that kind of the ground
Yeah, I
point?
think so.
it was used as a waypoint for watering
Horses, right?
on the trail.
It's always been a crossroads as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
Even after the Revolutionary War, it was a crossroads area.
The Otter Creek. I mean, it is big.
And then there was a fort near the old cemetery, east of here. And I think maybe where the Railroad Museum is, the little museum. So it was Fort Ranger, and it was a supply place and a training place for soldiers during the Revolutionary War.
I think one of the things on the kiosk that would be helpful is a map to orient people to the general area.
Hmm.
Right here, the pocket park, but the more immediate area that shows those other locations and
Mhm.
also indicates what is there today. So, and then perhaps eventually more information could be provided at those locations as well, like historic markers.
Yeah.
Like the Vermont historic markers, the green and gold ones, of which the 276. That way, people would get an orientation of how this park fits into a larger context, both historically as well as geographically.
Mhm. Yeah, we don't want to get too far afield. I mean, there's enough just going on. There's enough that has gone on just at the falls. I mean, even Fort Ranger's getting a little bit farther afield, but it ties into the Crown Point Road and. all
Well,
that stuff.
if you're gonna put something, my thinking is simply that if you're going to put some information on the kiosk / on a website that relates to the Crown Point Road, you could have a map that shows the Crown Point Road here, or I don't know, 2 miles, 3 miles, and that more information could be found on the greater context about where that Crown Point Road originated and where it ended. Just as a way to situate the falls within that historical and geographic context. It doesn't have to be the whole, you know, New York, Eastern New York to, where did they say, that the Crown Point Road originated? Down in New Hampshire, yeah, over in New Hampshire. But
Mhm.
you could find that on the website. You know, it can be expanded.
And some of, like the Crown Point Road Association is very active, but they're not like really digitally savvy. I mean, I don't even think they have a website. So we'll be dealing with different, abilities of these groups to give us like a link or a QR code or.
Well, they don't have to give us a link if they don't have one, but they could give us the materials that could be posted on our website or wherever the QR code goes. Because you want to have it to a central, I think, Demetrio, but you tell me if I'm wrong. If you go back to what you and Bill were suggesting earlier, the information can be expanded on the website. I was thinking that you meant that would be one website with several pages that would have it, not necessarily linking to a bunch of exterior resource. I mean, I suppose that's possible.
We want to point people to like our central location.
Right.
And links off that could be added.
The other sites.
Otherwise, it could be your QR code will become invalid, and then the whole thing's a problem.
Right, and you don't want that.
Right.
Right. Okay. So I did understand you correctly.
Barbara,
Yeah.
I don't mean to beat something to death, but the more I listen, the more intriguing this gets. Do you think we could meet with Green Mountain Power before they get into the design of the kiosk and discuss it?
I'm going to.
I don't know whether they've already done it. I doubt it from what just information we have, but we could discuss this, the how it's laid out. I've seen them with 3 sides, you know, 2 diagonals coming up from a sort of a base in the middle. And just to get some idea, because even with the links you guys are talking about, which I think are great, we still have to give some description of, what this group is, and et cetera. And I think, if they come in with one piece of board, that's not going to, I don't think is going to cut it for us. So rather than get into discussion, afterwards and try to undo something, perhaps we could meet with them and collaboratively come up with something.
Yep. That is the plan. These meetings that I'm setting up for us are to get our heads around what the content should be, what we should be emphasizing. To not only help us, but us to go to GMP and say, so all those rumors about us not working well with GMP are erroneous. They're looking to us for direction on this kiosk.
Okay, well, that I hadn't picked up. I'm sorry to take up time, but I had not understood that, and that's wonderful. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. I
Yeah.
think that's
Okay, any more thoughts on that? Okay.
I was gonna say one thing, we don't have to have the QR codes all on the kiosk either, because we do have several picnic tables. So as people are sitting, we could even use the picnic table, to put a QR code for additional information.
I haven't seen that done, but it works okay. People don't cover it up or anything.
I mean, you can't say that people aren't going to do things, but I'd imagine if we're getting traffic there, hopefully they're not covering it up and they're finding it useful. I mean, there could be a way where we put like a plexiglass table or something so it's underneath. At least that way you could like rub off whatever they try to put on, or we have some options available. But I just figured, if we don't have a lot of kiosk space, we do have a lot of picnic table space, and that's a good opportunity to put stuff there as people sit down. It gives them something to look at, assuming the internet connection's somewhat acceptable.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
And there's, we're gonna concentrate on the trail from the parking lot to the overlook past the picnic tables, but there's also the trails that the anglers use. That we've said, I think in most of our grant applications, that's gonna be part of, fixing up or whatever. However, the anglers don't want it, too well used because they've got a hot spot there. And Mary Ashcroft did say, especially if we go the route of the capital construction fund, we're probably not going to use ground up marble on the trails. It could be more like mulch from the town supply. But maybe we can get someone like Gowet or someone who has marble. Maybe there's some pieces that they would donate that maybe along the trail or something. We at one point talked about doing a marble theme for the park. Way back when.
I mean, it's more it's really detailed, but there may be some requirement for access for people who are in wheelchairs or something like that.
Right.
And
to me, neither mulch or marble chips is
right. That was my point. Is that, we don't know what we're talking about. We're getting to a point where we just talk about possibilities rather than what's going to happen or what we're planning.
The other thing is that we could put up a plaque as for other that other groups have done to recognize donors or special partners who have contributed something significantly to the project. So, I mean, that could be on the kiosk. It could be a little plaque saying gratitude expressed to X, Y, and Z for in-kind donation. Valuable donations worth X amount of money. Just good PR for the community and for the businesses or the groups that are supporting the project.
So I know the select board's going to turn to us about the content.
Yep.
You deal with the groups and you get that squared away. I don't know what else they want us to supervise. It hasn't gotten to that point yet.
Right.
Whether it's going to be us supervising, the engineer or the consultant, or if it's going to be the small recreation committee that's like has just 2 members.
There should at least be some agreement on how our input gets to.
I think first question is, what is the scope of responsibility the select board wants to give us? And from there, we can determine the other things. It's not worth speculating until they tell us.
True. Okay, so a pre-town meeting was held. There were no questions about our budget per se, but there was a zoning type question asked. There's a couple neighbors in town, not seeing eye to eye right now. One neighbor who has at least a double lot, put some solar panels in a big metal garage, I think it is, right up close to the property line. And in view of people in the other parcel. So we got this question several months ago. It's like, what can we, the people who on the other parcel, like, what can we do? What can the town do? What can the planning commission do? It's like, so the answer again was nothing. Mary Ashcroft said that's where zoning would come in. And, we could put setbacks in basic zoning. So the entire board was there hearing that conversation. And I think they are going to entertain the notion of looking at some rudimentary zoning, some simple zoning.
Okay.
Because of issues like this that come up. Where we don't have any options. We can't help anyone, or we can't even, slap anybody's hand. So that was pre-town meeting. On the highway department back and forth stuff. But I don't think there's anything controversial for the real town meeting. The big controversy that night, other than this zoning thing, was whether the town should buy an excavator, right? Or keep renting. So, I mean,
165.
65,000.
65. Gene and Drew.
Lauren went to the meeting. She was there for the library and gave me a report. And the report focused mostly on the debate over an excavator. There wasn't too much else that was.
Which is kind of weird. I mean, we already rent it, so if we have to keep renting it, I mean, if it goes down, it's like, we'll just keep renting. Yeah, it was pre-town meeting. Any other announcements? There is, so we'll have David Grayck 2 meetings from now. There is an Act 250, in March 12th.
Oh, you said April 12th. I have April 12th. On the,
It was an April date. I
I didn't look at it. I just assumed that was correct.
No, it's, he asked for the next meeting and you couldn't accommodate that, so it's the March meeting.
Okay, sorry.
We gave them the March and April as options.
Okay, so April 12th, it's actually March.
March 12th.
Thought I asked.
It's when?
It's March 12th. It'll just be a presentation again.
We don't
David
have a
Grayck.
meeting on April 12th.
One thing.
Not if it's
Not if there's one March 12th.
Yeah.
So there's
I have not looked at you.
there's another Act 250 permit going through the works. It's for a stormwater project at the senior, the over 50 residence place.
Where again? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Carmel Place.
Oh, Mel.
Carmel. And so they are required to make a bigger stormwater pond there. That was a little controversial for a while. But I think the whole association and everyone's on board with it now.
Actually,
We just need
It
to
wasn't big
complete
enough
their
from the
application.
start? Or new regulations?
Some of the regulations changed and it became insufficient, so. It belongs to the town. We took it over because it helps with our MS4 permit,
Mhm.
so it belongs to us. We're doing the project.
So it's in the Moonbrook watershed too. Some of those things. Okay. Any other announcements? Any of the minutes from
Move to-
January 8th?
Move to approve the minutes of January 8th.
Second.
Any discussion?
Good job, Bill.
Okay, all those in favor of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Okay, one abstention. Jerry? Okay. Guess that's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
thanks, Jerry.
Second.
Everybody.
Adjourned.